Hello everybody, it's Dylan from Anime, and welcome to another Boku no Hero Academia review. This time I will be reviewing episode 21, or season 2, episode 8 of My Hero Academia. So, generally speaking, what did I think of the episode? I thought it was another very enjoyable episode. Season 2 has just been really fun to watch, and, I really enjoyed season 1, and I didn't think they would be able to continue to be as, good as season 1 was, but I'm glad I've been proven wrong, because season 2 so far, only 8 episodes in, has been really, really enjoyable, and I am really looking forward to next episode already, and I'll get into that. I'm sure most of you know what will be happening next episode, the fight that will be happening next episode that I was really hyped for. I figured we wouldn't get it in this episode. Instead, we got the 3rd match, 4th match, 5th match, 6th match, and 7th match. So we got 5 of the matches. We got the first 2 in last week's episode, and we'll have the final one in next week's episode before moving on to the quarterfinal. So the matches that we saw in this week's episode were really good. They were all fairly quick. I mean, the only one that was probably pretty long was the 7th one between the 2 guys that had the Harden quirk, and the reason we didn't really see that match in full is because Midoriya, we got a scene of Midoriya, Uraraka, and Ida all talking before Uraraka's match, and so because of that, we didn't really see the fight in full, but I'd imagine they were just pounding each other for a few minutes before they finally wore off and obviously KO'd each other. But going match by match, the first match was a very interesting one. It was a match between Shiozaki, which is someone from Class B, and the Electric Guy. And the Electric Guy is someone who I feel is more there. I don't want to say he's just like a comic relief character. Like, he's a funny character, and like right before the match is talking, he's like thinking to himself like, wow, this girl's really hot. I gotta ask her out, and maybe I'll ask her out after I beat her. And he actually asks her out right before the match starts. He's like, hey, right after this, do you want to get a bite to eat? And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, I mean, I'll be there to console you after you lose this match. And he goes for the electrical attack. And I don't really like characters who have an all or nothing quirk, and that's exactly what this guy has. Because literally, if he charges full power and he uses all of his electricity power, he goes completely dumb for the next, 5 minutes, and that's what happens. He uses his quirk, and Shiozaki counters it with her quirk, which is like an IV wall, which I guess electricity doesn't really conduct through it, so she blocks the electricity with her wall. She goes underground, she grabs him, immobilizes him with her IV, and that's it. She wins the match literally in about 5 seconds, and I like that because it was someone from Class B actually defeating someone from, the hero class, which kind of shows that sure, there maybe is a bit of a difference in gap here. We just saw it with Shinso when he versed Midoriya, but at the same time, you can't really take these people lightly because they still are in this school. They still are in the academy, and because of that, they still are a force to be reckoned with. So I like that. I like how they gave the Class B student a victory here. And yeah, so that was the first match. So, short match. Honestly, all of these matches were pretty short. And when I first saw Shiozaki, I thought, because, she talks to Eraserhead when Eraserhead calls her an assassin, and I thought she was kind of putting on an act, but I don't think she was. I think she genuinely is like a nice spiritual person, so she seems like a really cool down-to-earth character, unlike most of the people from Class B who are kind of, I don't know, a little arrogant, I'd say, and a little douchey, but I guess it makes sense because they've kind of been not put in the spotlight, and they have to, and even though they do have these great quirks, they have to take kind of a second-hand seat in, to the hero class. So Midoriya and Uraraka, Midoriya's jotting down all these notes. It's actually a pretty funny moment, and you see, Kachin and Uraraka and all these other people just kind of looking at him because he's talking to himself, and that was a good, comedic moment, and it's just Deku, and Uraraka says it, she's like, you amaze me every time we talk, or you amaze me every day, and he really is, Midoriya, the amount of determination and the amount of passion that he has for this industry was so apparent from the first episode when, even though he didn't have a quirk, I don't need to sit here and explain to you how passionate this kid is, but it really is so fun to watch him even just jot down his notes and talk about all the matchups and all the possibilities that are going to happen in this next match. I mean, he's a very smart character, and I think that's a trait not a lot of people realize, or maybe realize isn't the best word, but not a trait that I think gets overlooked a lot, that just at how smart of a character Midoriya is. So anyway, we go to the next match, and it's Ida versus Hatsume, and this was actually the match that I was probably most hyped for in this round. I just thought this would be an interesting match because, Ida is someone who I would say is a pretty major character, and Hatsume is someone who in Season 2 has been a pretty major character, so I was just interested with how this fight would go on, and it turned into probably the most irritating match of the entire first round, where Hatsume gave Ida, like, equipment to use, and because she was okay with it, they allowed him to use it, but it was literally 10 minutes of her just selling. It's like, you know, you go to a car dealership and you see a car salesman. That's exactly what she was doing with all her gadgets, because you had everyone from the support course watching on in like the VIP suites, and literally for 10 minutes she showed off all of the gadgets she made. She made a complete fool out of Ida, and at the end she just steps out of bounds because she has no interest in winning the tournament. All she wanted to do was get to this point so that she could show off all of her technical skills and all of her support items, which, let's be honest, she is very talented at making all these items, but she completely humiliates Ida and even says, you know, I'm sorry I used you at the end of the match. And so she loses. Ida does move on, but you have to say he's probably very humiliated. But you know what, if I'm Ida, you take it any way you can. I'd take that win any day of the week. So that was an interesting fight, kind of irritating because there was absolutely no fight in it, but definitely one of the funnier fights we saw. So Hatsume loses, but lost purposely, and still, you know, she didn't really lose because she got to show off everything she wanted to show off. So the next match was between Mina, the pink girl, and the laser guy, the naval laser guy. I forget his name, like the French guy. And this was a match that I really wanted Mina to win because I cannot stand this guy. He's one of the characters that I just do not like at all. There's just something about him. He just really irritates me. So I was really hoping Mina would pull out the win. And Mina does pull out the win, and, you know, she gets around. And something that you learn about Mina's character, and we haven't really seen her up until this point that much. I mean, we know she can squirt out that, like, weird gel kind of paste thing. And here's two things I learned about her character. One, she's very smart because she remembers what the naval guy said, that if he shoots the laser from his stomach for more than a second, he gets a stomach ache and he kind of can't really move for a couple of seconds, and that's exactly what happens. And she says that, and she uses that to her advantage, where she kind of forces him to use it for more than a second. He gets a stomach ache, and then she attacks. And this is the other thing I learned about her. This girl can freaking hit. She throws one uppercut at this guy and knocks him unconscious. And then Midoriya, who keeps all these notes, is like, she did come in 9th out of everyone in the quirk assessment test, and it wasn't because she has this, you know, phenomenal quirk. It's literally because she's just that strong. So that's something that I never really thought of when it came to Mina, this pink girl, just how much physical strength she has. So that was cool to see, and I was glad she won because I really did not want that other guy to win. So she wins, and then we have a match between one of my favorite characters, and that is Tokoyami, and I feel like everyone loves this guy, and he's versing Yaoyorozu, I believe that's how you say her name, the girl that can just make whatever items she wants, and he uses the quirk Dark Shadow, and he completely, I mean, this by far is the most overwhelming fight of the entire, and I don't know how, well, actually, I do kind of know how Tokoyami might end up losing, and that's because, you know, he did say that in the day he has a lot of control over the Dark Spirit, which is his quirk, but at night it kind of becomes a little unstable, and so I wonder if, like, the quarters or the semifinals are going to be, like, under the lights, like, kind of a primetime thing. I could absolutely see that, and because of that, if it is at night, Tokoyami is going to be at a huge disadvantage, because he did say to Midoriya he can't control his Dark Shadow quirk at night as well as he can in the day. So that will be something to really keep an eye on, but you feel bad for the girl here that he defeats, because this is someone who always, I don't want to call her a know-it-all, but she's someone who always is like, knows what everything that's going on about everyone. She was the one that, you know, criticized Deku and Kachan and why they did everything wrong, and even Kachan said, yeah, you know, I was listening to that girl ramble on and I agreed with her, and that's the part that I hate, when he stormed out of the academy in like episode 7 or 8, I forget what episode it was. And this is a girl who just seems to have so much confidence, and she was absolutely humiliated, so I do feel bad for her. Tokoyami was very respectful about it. You know, he kind of bowed. He didn't attack her. She was able to defend herself, but he just kept forcing her back and back and back and just knocked her out, even unbeknownst to her. So that was an absolutely dominating performance. And then we have a match between the two hardened guys, and we don't really see much of it, but it's just a completely even match, and they eventually knock each other out. So when they both come back to terms, they're going to have like an arm wrestle, which I don't see how that's even going to go well, because once they have the same amount of strength. they have the same quirk, and they most likely have the same amount of strength, so an arm wrestle is just going to be, a 50-minute stalemate before someone probably gives up, and I guess that'll just test willpower, but that's something that'll be interesting, and the winner of that match is going to verse the winner of the match we're going to get in the next episode, and that is Kacchan and Uraraka, and I cannot wait until this match. I really hope my girl pulls this out. I really, really want her to win, and we get a great scene where she is clearly nervous. She's very nervous, as she should be, and Ida and Midoriya are talking to her at the end of the episode, and Ida's like, well, I don't think, Kacchan is going to go that hard. I mean, you're a girl. And Deku is like, no, it doesn't matter. He's going to go 100%, whether it's a girl, whether it's he's not taking it easy on anyone. No one should, for that matter. And Midoriya does have a fair point. I mean, they're at this point, whether it's a girl or a guy, you have to go full out. You have to go 100%. And Midoriya, because, he takes all these notes, and we've seen him technically get the better of Kacchan in the past. We saw that during the hero versus villain training back in season 1, and he tells Uraraka he comprised a strategy that says, look, I know how you're going to use your quirk, I know how you're going to defeat Kacchan, but Uraraka says, I'm doing this myself. And I love that moment because she kind of references back to when, Ida said, I need to surpass you. And she's talking about how she wanted to be with Midoriya because she thought she wanted to be with Midoriya for the cavalry round because they were friends and it'd be easy to team up with her friends. But then she's kind of having second thoughts about it. She's like, I think I wanted to really team up with you because I was relying on you. And I need to start relying on myself. So thank you. You're amazing. I have to do this myself. I love that spirit. And the episode ends with her and Bakugo about to fight it out, and we see from the preview that, I mean, either way, even if she wins this match, she's gonna get her ass kicked, even if she wins, because this guy is an absolute beast. I mean, he is probably he definitely is one of the, maybe the strongest guy, and the thing with him, too, is he's a very intelligent person. I think people overlook that. He's a very intelligent character. I honestly, I don't like him at all because he's just an absolute prick, but he's a very intelligent guy, and you gotta give him credit where credit's due, and he's a very strong guy. He's probably the most physically strong guy, naturally strong guy in the tournament, and I'm really worried about Uraraka. She's going to get her ass kicked either way. I just hope she somehow pulls out a win or puts on a good fight. It was interesting because during the preview, you kind of see her and it looks like she loses not her entire clothes, but she loses her uniform, and maybe that's from the damage, or maybe she takes it off because it's easier for her to use her quirk if she's not wearing as many if she's not being constricted by clothing, and so that's why she kind of strips down a little bit. I don't really know what that's about, but that was kind of interesting. And also shows just how determined she is, and even though, she clearly is going to take a beating, she is going to put up as good of a fight as she possibly can, and I really hope she somehow pulls it off, or just puts up a really, really good fight. Very excited for next episode. I really enjoyed this one. There were a lot of matches. There weren't any really long matches, but I thought the pacing for the 5 matches were pretty good, and they still, even though they showed those 5 matches, built up this match, this kind of primetime match, really, really well, and that will be a very interesting match to watch next week. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave all your thoughts down below. I will join you once again right here next Saturday for my review of Kacchan versus Uraraka. Have an amazing day, everyone. I will talk to you down below. Thank you for watching.